Funky Politics.
Right, that's right, that's right. This is Funky Politics, and I am DC. And I'm the host of this wonderfully insightful and sometimes full of program, only in a good way, though. But speaking of full of, I know someone who's really full of it, and I mean 45, our president, right? I mean, there isn't a day that goes by that he just doesn't say something or he doesn't do something. And I'm thinking, is this guy from Mars, or is he trying to get us to Mars? Whichever one it is, I don't know. But take a quick listen here. Our president, 45.
On the therapeutics front, this is what I've been looking to do for a long time. This is a great thing. Today, I'm pleased to make a truly historic announcement in our battle against the China virus that will save countless lives.
See, why do you have to call it the China virus? It's completely unadulterated COVID-19. Wuhan province, they said that they saw the virus there. But my question is, why do you have to continue to malign the Chinese people? We understand that the Chinese, that the Communist Party is full of crap. But come on, Mr. President, quit putting a name on this virus by calling it the Chinese virus. This guy's classless. But anyway, hey, speaking of classless, oh no, I didn't mean call it classless. The Republican National Convention kicks off. Yay! A lot of my Republicans out there who listen to me and they still hate me. But anyway, it kicks off tonight. And but for the sake of fairness, I'll make sure that I'm sitting in front of the monitor tonight, because I'll be kind of doing a little bit of blogging, a little bit of commenting on the RNC as I did with the DNC. They're going to talk a lot about their policy statements. We're going to be looking forward to seeing what are they saying that's any different than what the Democrats said on a week ago. But I want you to take a listen to a little bit about how the RNC may or may not turn out, especially on this pledge issue. And I think the president had something to say about it.
Did you see the man that got up and sang a very, very special phrase from a very, very special thing? And he left the word God out. And I was watching and I said, oh, he must have made a mistake. I didn't think that he left it out. I thought maybe that can happen. Maybe he made a mistake. He didn't make a mistake. That's where they're coming from. He left the word God out, and that's where they're coming from.
You know, the leader of the freest country in this world is fomenting, lies. It's a big fat lie. Quit saying that. Quit saying they left God out of the place. They did not. You got to quit doing it, Mr. President. You are the president for the entire country. We'll see what the RNC puts on the table tonight. Hopefully they have a better story to tell than the Democrats. If they did, then your convention will be better than the Democrats. But let's not start a convention by lying, okay? Let's not do that. Finally, shout out to LeBron James. LeBron and a lot of the players in the NBA are doing their thing. Man, I tell you, they're hanging on, man. God, the Lakers are hanging on. But one thing I want to just make sure I shout them out for is the stance that the NBA players and a lot of the athletes around the world are taking. And LeBron had a MAGA hat on, but he had the hat, he had some words crossed out. But listen to his reasoning in talking about where we are as a nation right now with regard to Breonna Taylor.
I'm wondering, though, Steve, if it's not a little bit of a bridge too far now, because I respect the fact that athletes have gotten involved in social conscience issues.
Yeah.
But now this is a specific case.
Right.
Let the courts decide it. No.
Well, here's the thing. I think so. For example, George Floyd, the cops who murdered George Floyd have been arrested, and we'll see if justice has prevailed here and brought to it. But they haven't been yet. So now I just want to, if we could show what LeBron actually said after the game about what he talked. Take a listen to what he had to say.
All right.
Innocent woman being killed, and by the name of Breonna Taylor, a woman who had a bright future, and her life was taken away from her. And there's been no arrest, there's been no justice, not only for her, but for her family. And we want to continue to shed light on that situation. It's just unjust. And, that's what it's about.
Interesting.
That's right. No justice, no peace. I mean, that's how it looks right now. I want to make sure we remember to say this. Say her name. Breonna Taylor. Say her name. She's still waiting for some justice out there. Not only her, but her family's waiting for it. Come on, Kentucky. Come on, Commonwealth. Do your thing. This thing should not take this long to figure out were they right or were they wrong? And if they were right, then you have to have the gumption and the fortitude to say it. I was going to say something else, but this is a family kind of program. But anyway, getting into our program on today, man, I'm excited. I'm really, really excited. On today's Funky Politics program, we have got Ray Leonard Jr. That's right. Y'all know Ray Leonard Jr. He's the son of Sugar Ray Leonard. And but in his own right, he's the eldest son of one of the most prolific boxers that this world has ever known, a thought leader in our country. And he's going to talk to us a lot about, what was it like being the son of this huge star, right? But also he's going to talk about a lot of the work that he's doing. I really want to get into some of the things that he's doing in terms of with our community, our young people, and his business, right? So hold on just a moment. After the break, we're going to bring you Ray Leonard Jr. right here on Funky Politics. Be right back in just a second.
I'll be around. Funk you up.
Extra cheese is $2.
$2?
Yeah, $2.
Hey, you can forget that. Funk you up.
I got up and went to the gym at 9 o'clock this morning. We talked about on the show the kind of workouts I do. It's not fun. I work out until I feel like I'm either going to pass out or throw up. And when I get to that point, I'm just like, oh, I haven't done either. Guess I got to keep going.
The hell with all of that.
And then, after
I got,
that,
tasks and stuff to do afterwards.
Exactly. I was tired, boss.
Black Nerd Power on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
KUDZUKIAN!
That's right. When the episodes drop, Black Nerd Power, one of my favorite shows out there. Welcome to the program, Brother Ray. How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing wonderful. A bright Monday morning, man. What better way than to kick it off, man, with a star in his own right, man. How are you doing, brother? Everything well?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic, man. With the whole COVID thing that's going on, I'm up this morning. I'm smiling again. I have a beautiful day out here. It's super hot in California, but other than that, I can't complain.
Well, before I get into this life you live now, you just mentioned California, man. You guys are facing these wildfires that are just, man, out of from nowhere. What's going on, man? What about Los Angeles County, all of that area around you guys? What does it look like?
So it's pretty bad out here, especially in Northern California. Yeah. The fires. Every year around this time we expect some fires, but this year it's been extremely hot. Every single day is over 100 degrees. And so the firefighters are trying to make sure that everything is taken care of. They try to make sure that people's homes and properties are safe, that people are safe. But, it's tough to contain because they have so much else going on right now. That you have the protests, you have the COVID situation, and it's very taxing for our public officials and firefighters. And so they're doing the best they can. And, I'm a little bit further south, so I'm not too close to it. But it's rough out here.
But it wasn't long ago that down in your area, though, down in Southern California, you all had fires. I can't remember when it was, but not long ago, the same thing looks like it was right down in San Bernardino, a couple of counties around you down there.
Yeah. This was last year. We had a really bad fire season, and the governor talked about it being a state of emergency here in the whole state because of what's going on. And the fires last year. I was driving down the highway and seeing fires on my right and left side in the mountains. And so it's every state has their own issues that come up. Unfortunately, California, it is the wildfires can spread and get pretty rough.
Well, 11,000 lightning strikes, but man, 11,000 lightning. Somebody counted these things, I guess, on radar and said, man, anyway. Getting away from it, man. Our prayers with you guys.
You talk about the minuses out here in California, like Tony said, it never rains in Southern California. That's part of the issue.
That's part of the issue. It never rains, but it sure he'll have a lot of lightning strikes.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Man, our prayers are with you guys. Hang on in there. Hey, but I want to get into this thing. I want our listeners and our viewers to know the Ray Leonard Jr. We all have grown up watching that young brother with that 5'10" frame do his thing, man, for years. What was it like, man, to know that you are the son? Even as a kid, to know you're son of Sugar Ray, man.
Well, that's an interesting question. I get that question, quite a bit, and every time I get the question, I try to figure it out. How am I going to answer this? Like, how can I explain it all in just one answer, which is super tough because I really had no idea for the longest time that My father was one of the baddest men on the planet. From there, because we were born into pretty bad poverty. My mother and father were 15 and 16 when I was born. We lived in Palmer Park, Maryland, and we didn't have much. But then all of a sudden, my father wins the 76 Olympics gold medal. And a couple years later, he turns pro because my grandfather was sick with spinal meningitis and tuberculosis. And they wanted, we had to make money to pay the bills, the hospital bills. And my father, he didn't really want to go pro. After he won the gold medal, he didn't want to go pro. Most people don't know that. He wanted to go to the University of Maryland. He had a scholarship to University of Maryland. And I don't know how he got a scholarship because they don't have a boxing team, but it worked out. It worked out. And then soon after that, he fights Roberto Duran or fights Wilfred Benitez and wins the world championship. And our lives just changed dramatically. I mean, we went from the hood in Palmer Park to living in Potomac, Maryland overnight. I mean, it was just crazy. And I'm sitting there with the Queen of England. I'm meeting Nelson Mandela. I'm traveling all across the world. Everybody knows who I am because of that 7-Up commercial that I did when I was about 7 years old. And I said, that's just my dad. So people remember that. And I was about 7 years old for about 25 years because everybody like, no, you can't get older. You can't grow up. But it was a total roller coaster because we had to learn as a family. They were both young, and we learned as a family how to deal with different cultures, different backgrounds, living your whole life in the spotlight, dealing with threats from the Ku Klux Klan, dealing with threats from, all these different people that didn't want to see a black family succeed at that time. I'd be remiss if I didn't say it wasn't some great times and great things, but there was also some tough negative things that we had to deal with. So it was definitely a roller coaster.
Well, was there any particular one instance that you can say, man, damn, that's my dad? I mean, he the man. I mean, was there a bout? Was there a fight? Was there something? I mean, I know the brand fight. I mean, all these others. But was there one that sticks in your head now as an adult to say, you know what, man, this dude was bad as hell?
Yeah. So the one that sticks out the most for me was the Marvin Hagler fight. Because my father had briefly retired and was out of boxing basically for 5 years, and I was going into high school when that fight was happening, and you could see and feel the energy around it. Everybody in the nation, I mean, even people that were, I was playing basketball in high school, and the whole crowd is yelling Hagler at me. So I knew that was a major event, and knowing that Marvin Hagler was undefeated in 11 years, I mean, that doesn't happen in the middleweight division. The guy that goes 11 years and not lose a fight. And my father was originally a welterweight. So he was moving up in class to fight this bad man. And, sitting there and going through Las Vegas and Caesar's Palace and seeing the energy from the crowds, and man, it was a whole nother world. And to have him be as big of an underdog as he was for that fight and to come out on top, whether people, liked whatever the decision was, because you're always going to have people to argue back and forth. But for him to come out after 5 years off and face the baddest person on the planet and beat him, not just physically, but mentally, was the time when I said, you know what? You are not just this little guy that walks around the house. Like you achieved something great. You're a bad man.
Man, check this out. So we all, when we're sitting back watching the big fights and so forth, and they of course they have the camera panning to the back in the training room and so forth, the dressing rooms. But you've been in those rooms. You've been there as a little guy and also as a high schooler, right? Now, so what is it like, man, to see all these folks? Because you got all these stars running through. They want to see the champ. I mean, that's got to be a humbling experience, right?
It is definitely a humbling experience. It is, one of the most surreal things that you'll ever see in life is that you're in the back while all these fans and people are around and the conversations that are happening. Like you said, the celebrities are there. Yeah. And you're trying to find a moment of peace to be ready to get ready and prepared. But you have so much chaos. But the great thing was that the routine was set so well from my father and his team is that he didn't get caught up in that nonsense and everything that was going on, all the extra energy. But me, as being on the outside, sitting there looking in, every time it would just blow my mind that you get in front of 40, 50,000 people, and you're preparing and you're quiet and you're focused and ready to go to a ring to do combat. And I couldn't. It's hard to explain what the energy is like. It's hard to explain what the energy is like, but it's like the calm before a storm. Wow. If I can say that, it's a calm before a storm. Like you're in the eye of a hurricane, and it is swirl. Everything is swirling around you, but you're calm in the middle of it.
I think a lot of us notice that too about those boxers. Man, just for years, you've seen our guys get. I'm like, man, I mean, these guys, you can just see them. I mean, look in their eyes. It's like I'm just I'm focused on just who I'm getting ready to go battle. All this other stuff outside, no, I'm focused right here. So, how is it that you didn't get into this? You didn't get bit by the boxing. But I read where you did track and field, you did some football, basketball. I mean, you did all that stuff, but boxing, and you're the eldest son, man. Quite naturally, my eldest is going to be the one who's going to take up for me. He's going to pick up that mantle. What happened to you, man? Why not boxing?
Yeah, there was the expectation that I was going to go the route of that Floyd Mayweather went with his father. Floyd Mayweather Sr. was him and my father fought. So they was always talking about, maybe you and Floyd could fight. But this is the reason why I didn't go into boxing. Man, I had some amateur fights. I did really well in the amateurs. But then around that same time about the Hagler fight, after my father fought Hagler, I came back home from college because I started playing football and running track and field. And I came back home and I felt pretty good about myself. And I was, lifting weights and working out. And I'm a lot bigger than my father is. So I walk in and I say, Pops, what's up? You want to go? And he says, you do know what I do for a living, right? I said, yeah. But I know all your moves. I'm not going to fall for this wind up stuff. And I'm not going to fall for that. So we went down the basement, put on the gloves. And I'm coming out strong, and I'm swinging punches. I'm trying to knock him out, and he's just moving out the way. I don't hit him. He's just moving, I'm missing every punch, and all of a sudden he taps me in the ribs, and I was like, oh, that don't hurt. But it took my brain like 5 seconds to catch up with my body. And I went down, and I realized I didn't like getting hit. I didn't like getting hit that way, and so I took my gloves off, and that was the end of my boxing career.
That was it. Right down the basement, huh? Say, hey, Dad, hey, we good. We good, Doc.
Yeah. My grandfather was a boxer in the Navy. My uncle was ranked number 2 in the world. And he fought. He was a 4-time champion in the Air Force. And so boxing is in our family blood. My grandmother can box. So, I mean, it's in our family blood. But one of the biggest things my father taught me is you don't play boxing. Like boxing is the real deal. You have to live, sleep, and eat it. I mean, because you can get seriously hurt if you're not prepared. And that just wasn't my focus. When I found football, it was like a family. And, I was able to be a part of a bigger team, which I didn't have growing up because we were traveling around, moving so much. So I found that, and that was like, okay, this is my thing. And I was able to earn a scholarship and be the first person in my family ever to go to college.
That's deep, brother. I want to stay right there because I want us to move to this piece now and talking about our young black brothers out there, right? I want to talk about those young men, Ray, that were not as well off in terms of wealth as you were, but you still had that mobility, right? So you still kind of moved from here, maybe different schools here or there. But man, what do we do with the racial unrest we've got now in our country? It looks like it links back to this piece of poverty, but we also got our young brothers out here, young black boys and brown boys, man, who are kind of lost, and they're all over the place. What can you, me, and some of these other brothers out here who've been around at least a couple more years than they have, man, what can we do to help them understand that street life, that life ain't what you want? But maybe getting in the boxing ring, I don't know, or maybe on the football field, basketball, or in college and do an English composition, maybe writing. What can we do, man?
Yeah, so I mean, I wish I had the perfect answer that exactly what to do, and because I would definitely be 100%, telling everybody about it and putting it out there. But I think from a standpoint of how we can address the situation, I think we need to go back to how we had a community working together to try to get these kids. Nowadays it's my son, it's my daughter, and not the community's kids. I remember when I was younger, if I messed up, my neighbor down the street would say they take it into their hands,
Right,
and then tell my mother and father about it later. So I think we've gotten away from that. Everybody's isolating themselves a little bit. And then, from the standpoint of poverty issue, it's been a sustainable thing that's been happening for years and years and years. And you see for our communities and other communities that don't have, the same economic equality, that there becomes a issue that, people are just fighting for their lives. The mothers and fathers are out working 2 and 3 jobs. I was watching W. Kamau Bell the other night. He was talking about the gig economy, and it's the luxury of being able to have both your parents there, or having a family that doesn't have to work 3 or 4 jobs and the kids have to fend for themselves. It creates a major issue within the community. And I think once we have a more inclusive society that says, okay, everybody should earn a wage to live on, a living wage. I think that will help with a lot of the issues.
So really, I guess some economic prosperity. They talk about all boats rising, but if I got a dinghy and you got a yacht, Ray, I mean, my dinghy, it'll rise, but you still got a yacht, Doc. You still gonna. So I guess that's a whole nother argument down the road. What I want to do also is, man, I want to make sure we stay there. But COVID-19 and your business, Leonard Sports and Entertainment. How has this COVID piece impacted what you do on a daily basis? How does that work with you, man?
Oh yeah, man, it's been a major bummer to my business, and it's really hurt my business quite a bit. Part of what I do is I go around and do motivational speaking. Yeah. And I've been traveling for the last 8 years, going to all the military bases around the world, trying to empower the young men and women that are defending this country. And I speak for 60 minutes, and I had 86 planned for this year. And that's one of the pieces of our business. But also, a lot of what we do is diversity training, consulting with different companies to show how you can be a more diverse organization, and how, being a diverse organization actually helps, you thrive, because you have a difference of opinion. You have more ideas coming from other people. And when COVID hit, it just took everything to just shut everything down. My contracts got canceled. I had 3 or 4 contracts with the government. They got canceled. Some of the corporate contracts that we had got canceled because, if you couldn't travel, you couldn't be there. And it was tough, and it's been tough this whole year. But the one thing I've learned is trying to take this opportunity, because I'm a positive person by nature, and so I look at everything as an opportunity. How do I get better? So instead of being frustrated about it and crying about it, I said, okay, how do we prepare ourselves for what comes next? And so we've moved into more virtual stuff. We're doing a lot more online training. It's different to be speaking to people virtually, sure. But we're adapting. We're adapting, and life is going to continuously throw things at you. So you have to figure out how to adapt.
Well, I tell you, we are back right here on Funky Politics with the famous, the one and only Ray Leonard Jr. Man, I tell you, having a great time talking to you about this life you've lived, man. This life you've lived where, let's just call it what it is, man. You've had a privileged life, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think we can celebrate success, and man, to see your dad did what he did, to make a living, man, and to make sure that his family could eat and prosper, right? And so that's, I think, what we want all of our families to do. And that's why I was getting to that piece. How do we get those young men to thinking, man, there's prosperity in your life, but you got to live. You can't do the gangbangs. You can't do that street life, Doc, that violence, or else, Ray, you're not going to be able to access or get an opportunity to see what it may look like on the other side, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's been a big thing. A part of me from one of my life's missions is that I want to make sure that the young kids coming up behind me have the information, have a better opportunity than I had, yeah. And want to make sure that my kids understand that life is not going to be easy, no matter where you come from, what your name is, and what's going on, right? So I've seen it from both sides, from where we came from and to where we got to, where a life-changing education. And my parents didn't have the thought process or didn't have the understanding of how to really raise a kid at that time. But I saw their growth, and they learned, and they wanted to learn. And so I just finished writing my youth book for preteens. and it's a survival guide. It's a Ray Leonard Jr. survival guide, for the next generation. And it basically takes the experiences that I had and things that I've learned to try to give a guide to parents and to kids that some of these issues, some of these things that you're going through, you have older people that have been through it before. Yeah. And so it's not something that you should be scared of. But if we don't share this knowledge with each other, then we'll be lost. Because my grandfather always told me, when you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
And so that's the key. It's education. It's about not holding on to this information, trying to say, okay, I've made it to this level of success and I'm going to keep this to myself. No, we got to pass it on. Yeah. We got to give the information to the young brothers and sisters so they can be better than we were.
Man, I like the way you said. Hey, you've done some work with Walking Miracles. Talk to our audience about the time you spent on the board, or if you're still on the board right now, and what Walking Miracles actually does in our country or in the community that it serves.
So Walking Miracles tries to provide assistance to families and parents that are going through, and kids that are going through cancer treatment. Insurance only covers so much, but doesn't deal with the parents that have to go spend time with the kids when they're trying to in the hospital. It doesn't help them with food or anything else, and so that's what Walking Miracles it tries to do. The guy that started it. I met him when I was young. I met him when I was probably 15 years old, and he was going through brain cancer treatments. And the energy that this young man had was just incredible. And we remained friends. And they told him he only had 6 months to live. And he's been here for another 30 plus years. And
what kind of diagnosis was that, man?
To see the passion that he had, because I think it's the energy. You talk about the energy and the life that you have, that you just won't give up. And this young man, has dedicated his life to helping others because he saw firsthand what his parents went through, what his family went through, and being a selfless person, he decided, I want to help others and show them. Like I said, we got to give back. And I think that's the energy that we all need to have, because that will keep us thriving.
I also noticed, I was reading about you in your bio, how you and Dr. Joy Wright work together. And, it's not only as a business partner, but a thought partner with you in some of this work that you all are doing in the community. Tell me a little bit about her and her story, because to say that she served on the first female to serve on a naval aircraft carrier, is that right?
Yeah. So, Dr. Joy, is one of my best friends, my great business partner. And she was one of the first women to integrate aircraft carriers. So it was her and 4,999 men on this aircraft carrier. And, we're like an unlikely pair. And so when you talk about, faces of diversity, she's from Alabama, a little town in Alabama. She's blonde, and her and I came together and we found the things that brought us together that were similarities that we had. And so even though we come from two completely different backgrounds, we had a lot of the same stories that we dealt with. And she's such a high energy person. Her whole family are like doctors or lawyers or dentists. So they have a high standard in their family of how education works and what they want to give back. Her son's in Yale University right now, her oldest son, and then her two other twin boys are big stars on TikTok. So you set the bar, Joy. You set it real high. And she's
TikTok superstars.
Yeah, exactly. And so she's the one that got me into this speaking, because she always wants to do something for the community. Yeah. And so she asked me to come speak to a naval base in San Diego, and I was like, I'm not a motivational speaker. I don't do that. I don't know what to do. But I love talking. I coached kids in football and in track, and I love trying to just give information to people. So I went down, did it for the first time, just spoke from the heart. And they loved it and asked me to come back again. And I kept trying to figure out what to say every single time. I say, man, they said these motivational speakers are phenomenal, because every time they go out, they figure out something new to say. Yeah. But then I talked to my father, and he was like, no, we say the same thing to different audiences. Yeah. Like, oh, well, that helps me out a lot, because I won't have to try to figure something out every single time. So that changed my life. But Joy has been a blessing to me, just from a standpoint that she's a psychologist and a doctorate in organizational development and leadership. And she's, one of the best partners you can have.
And a lot of it, I think, too, Ray, is, and I've done a little bit of speaking, not on your level, but a lot of it is really just kind of telling your story, right? And so, and I think the work that, man, that we have got to do, and I say you, me, and a bunch of others out there, we've got to help our young brothers tell their story. They got a story. It may be a short story because you've only been here 10, 12, 15, 13, 18 years, but you still got a story. And if there's some hurt and pain in that thing, man, we got to give them to people to go talk to people like Dr. Joy. I mean, go put that stuff on a table somewhere, write it down, brother, and then let's get through some of this stuff, right?
Yeah, and I found that that's one of the biggest things. I mean, because even for me growing up, that I was a shy kid, and I kept everything inside. I never wanted to talk about any issues because I didn't want to show weakness. And that was one of the downfalls of being from a boxing family, is that it was like, here, speaking up is showing weakness, and if we have an issue, we're gonna deal with it with our hands. But we never learned how to communicate with one another, and there was always the stigma if you show any weakness, or if you say I'm struggling, that that you were less than. And the biggest thing for me was taking that stigma away. When I learned that other people go through these issues, everybody else has problems, and it's okay for me to be vulnerable. Yeah. That made the biggest change in my life, and I think that's why I'm giving my kids a healthier, version of me, a healthy version of a parent to be around, is because I accept my flaws and I'm able to talk about it and communicate it, without being embarrassed about what's going on. And so I think the more we give it to our young folks and say, here, it's okay. So everybody's going through it. Nobody's going to judge you for what you're saying. I think we'll be better off.
Well, speaking of kids, I want to go back to this piece when you were a younger kid. No doubt, and we look at it as, battling each other. They don't like you. They hate each other. But I would assume that your dad, Hitman Hearns, Hagler, Ali, all of you guys back in the day, they were brothers, and it wasn't that many that fit into that heavyweight, that champions mold, right? So will you share with us, were they pretty much friends? Or was it one of them things where, hey, look, I don't deal with dude. You know what I'm saying? And then you got these kids of all of these different boxers. Like I'm sure Hearns got kids, and Hagler, all of them. You guys had another little fraternity yourself, right?
Oh yeah, that's the funny thing, is that as much as these guys are combatants, or that they go against each other, they're competing at the highest level, they had the ultimate respect for each other because they were in a rare fraternity. Yeah. And even with their kids, I'm friends with Marvin Hagler's Jr. I'm friends with Thomas Hearns' son, Roberto Duran's son, George Foreman's kids, because it's a rare fraternity that we're in, and it's like family. Not many people will understand what we actually went through. And, you see it from the outside and you look at it and say, oh, this is perfect. This is the beautiful life. But no, it's not that way. Everybody has their struggles, no matter, what your background is, what you're going through. But yeah, it was a definite unique fraternity, unique issues that, we dealt with. My father still talks to Thomas Hearns, quite a bit. They are hilarious together. Tommy keeps talking about coming back to fight.
Get out of here, man.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, it's a rare fraternity, man, and they're most of them are pretty good friends to this day. My father and Hagler still have a little bit of animosity. He never forgave him for coming back and beating him. So other than that, everything is pretty good.
Really, man? He's till this day he still holds a little bit of that angst.
Yeah, he held the grudge for the longest time because there was so much psychologically went into winning that fight. Because the one person in life that Hagler didn't want to lose to was my father, because he was a showboat. They said he's the pretty boy, and Hagler was the guy that just go to work every day. That take his to work. And he's like, I can't lose this dude, and to lose in the fashion that he did, was just too much for him to take. They still cordial when they see each other. There's no fisticuffs flying, but it's not the most friendly relationship.
Whoa. Hey, you heard it right here on Funky Politics. It ain't the friendliest thing going on out there. Speaking of your kids, man, how are you? Are your kids into sports? Are they, they see their dad, because you play ball. So it's not like, well, I just fell into this thing. They come from a sporting family, right? You talking about grandma can box. And grandmama can box. And one of them kids in your family got something in them, man. They got something in them.
My kids, they see me as the greatest athlete in the family. Oh, wow. So because I was I I ran the high hurdles in high school. Was one of the state medalists in Maryland, and then I earned a scholarship to play football at Ohio University. And so they didn't really know a whole lot about their grandfather, about him in boxing, because boxing has kind of died down some, so they didn't see it the same way. But they wanted to follow in my footsteps. So my oldest son, Jalen, is 17. He's a senior, going into a senior year in high school. And he's one of the top wide receivers and defensive backs in California. And so he has several offers to play next year in college, and which I'm very excited about. So we'll see if we actually have a season this year for him to show what he can do for his senior year. And then my youngest son, Devin, is an elite basketball player and football player. And then my daughter, Ryan, she's probably the best athlete out of everybody. She's 12 years old, and she plays basketball and volleyball, and she beats the boys. She had two bigger brothers that beat up on her, so she don't play. So she got it.
She ain't playing hard. So, but
no,
is there a musician is there anybody doing music, anybody acting? You got a bunch of athletes. That's what you got in the household.
Yeah, but we also are coming from a musical background too. The reason why my father was named Ray Charles, because my grandmother was a big fan of Ray Charles, the singer, and she wanted us all to be singers. You can be in a church, you can be a singer. This is what you're gonna do. My aunt Sandra is a phenomenal singer. I can hold a tune pretty well when I want to. I got into producing music back in the day. I did a song, a remix for In Vogue's "Don't Let Go" back in the day, and I used to produce music all the time. And I have a rap album that's out there somewhere on YouTube, so you guys can find that and see what you think. But
we gotta check it out, man. Ray Leonard Jr. So what is it? What's the name of it?
Oh, my rap group's called The Rebels, REBELZ. So it's on YouTube, and it was actually that long ago that it was actually on wax, a record. So it was that long ago, but it was I produced it. It was pretty well received. It was number one song in Atlanta for 6 years. I mean, not for 6 years, 6 weeks. 6 weeks when we first put it out. So it was pretty good. But my brother, my brother is a musical producer, and so there is some music in the family. There's some music in the family. When you have a name like Ray Charles, you better have something.
Boy, you ain't joking. I thought about that. I said, no, this brother name ain't Sugar. It's Ray Charles Leonard Jr.
Ray Charles, yeah, exactly.
And everybody can see that. You get everybody can see. Hey, man, before we get out of here, I want to go to the work that you're doing with your firm, Leonard Sports and Entertainment, and how you marry these athletes up with corporations in terms of messaging, and we know in terms of marketing, we know what corporations are looking for, and of course, athletes want to have some outside income to really sustain them, because whatever you do, whether it's boxing, it's football or basketball, you can't do it forever, right? And so when you're counseling or you're talking with or consulting with those athletes, what is the conversation like when you're talking about, hey man, in terms of image, this is what, I'll just throw a name on, this is what Coca-Cola's looking for, but they need a dot out of this, or this is what Mars is looking for. Yeah. So when I first started the company, it was just out of me trying to figure out where I fit in the sports and entertainment world. I went to college and got my sports management degree, and then I became an agent for an NFL, Major League Baseball, basketball. Wow. And I was just kind of figuring it out as I went through. I had Lee Steinberg, the super agent, gave me a bunch of great information when I was young. So I knew I always wanted to be a self-made man. I didn't want to have my identity attached solely to my father, and I wanted to make my own way. And so one of the things I did learn from my father is that you can be an independent person, and you have to own yourself. So don't be owned by anybody else. And so that was the thing that I try to teach the other athletes and entertainers, is that you are the brand, you are the corporation. And so incorporate yourself. Make sure that you live your life and your business of you, how you want to be. So when my father first started out, Don King and a couple other promoters just say, here's some quick money. And you think, you're a young person coming from, nothing, and you see this money, you just want to jump after it, take it right away. That's right.
But we went a different way. Got 30 people to invest $1,000 a piece. to start his career. After he won the first fight, he paid everybody back with interest, and he was a free agent. So he was never owned by anybody. He promoted his own fights. He co-promoted his own fights, and so he still owned the footage from it. And so those lessons about how to be, corporate friendly, how to, run your own business, how to look at yourself as a business entity, are lessons that I want to impart on others, especially the young sports entertainers that are coming up. To understand about your finances, to understand about who you associate yourself with, to understand that, you are a business. It's great. So what you guys had on earlier, talking about LeBron and the other athletes that are taking political stance. I think it's a fantastic thing. I mean, at this time, because sometimes it's looked upon in the moment as something that's negative. Just like Muhammad Ali, in hindsight, everybody says, "Oh, we love Muhammad Ali all the time." Like, no, you didn't. When he took a stand, his stand, you didn't love him. But now, because he was a man of principle, you see that pays off. And so what LeBron's doing, what Colin Kaepernick is doing, I think it's more from a principle standpoint. And once you are not owned by society, you're comfortable in your own skin. I think it makes a bigger message and a bigger difference that, it's okay to speak out and have your opinion. You are an individual, but you also understand that backlash that you will have, it may not be, forever, but it may be something that's at that point in time, it's going to cause you some stress and pain. So I've been through it. So I want to put that information out there to them.
Speaking of putting that information out there to them, the NBA D League, I just bring that particular league up because this is a league that's basically set up, and it's to capture some of that young talent that would normally go on to a 4-year institution or a 2-year institution, whatever you want to call it, right? But now some of those guys are, hey, look, I think I'm going to forego doing that. I'll just declare for NBA D League. I'll go and make me $200,000 or $400,000. Are you set up right now to be able to help consult and manage those young brothers as well and sisters too? Because of course, they can very well go to WNBA as well too, right? So are you in a position right now to be that type of voice and mentor for those young people too as well?
Absolutely. And I give the information. I may not know all the answers, but I know all the people that can get the right answers. And for some young folks that are coming out, it's their decision has to be based upon sound logic. And I'm always willing to give consultative services or my information, the things that I've learned, the things that I know about the business to them. And without them worrying about what is this going to cost me? Like this is the information that I'm giving, and I'm giving it to you so you don't make some of the same mistakes that others have made, because I want to see you succeed in this generation, in this world. And the reason why folks go to college is to get the best job that they can, get educated, get the best job they can. And if your skill sets put you in a place already that you say, here, I can get paid for this, and then you can surround yourself with good people that are going to help you maintain this for your life, because sports is short term. I mean, sports is a means for you to get to a certain level and be able to maintain it, because it won't be the thing that's going to carry you forever. You can't keep coming back. Like, you see all these fighters, Tyson and Roy Jones and Oscar De La Hoya, still coming back when they're in their late 40s. Yeah. God bless them for it. I mean, I'm not going to do it, but you have to be able to take care of your, have financial literacy. You got to have, the things that you need for long-term success, but take advantage of it while you can. If they're going to pay you to come out and play a game, do it. Yeah. But the pay got to be there for me to get out there right now and tap this other knee, Doc. I wasn't a good player no way, but I don't think I'm gonna get out there. And they said, "Well, Cage, we got $200. I'll take it." Hey, right. Before we get out of here, Ray, any closing thoughts? I want to make sure also those folks who want to reach out to you as well. Is there some contact information out there, either with Leonard Sports and Entertainment or anything? But I want to make sure that you have some closing thoughts. You got some parting thoughts that either that athlete or the entertainer or just folks who are watching the program or listening to it can take away and say, "Hey, man, thanks. I appreciate that, Ray Leonard Jr." Yeah. My social media, everything is at Ray Leonard Jr. On Instagram, Facebook, all the different platforms. You can reach me there, find out what's going on, or you can go to my website, which is RayLeonardJr.com. Try to keep it all easy to find, so everything is just Ray Leonard Jr. And my parting words would be is that to stay optimistic right now, take care of your mental health, because so many people struggle with, the ability to communicate and to talk about what's going on with them, especially right now. I mean, we're living in a time where everything is so divisive. We have issues with unemployment, people struggling to figure out whether the kids go to school or their parents are going to be safe out here in this world. And, I want to encourage everyone to live their life in a positive manner and always see that, every single day that you get up is it's an opportunity to be better. That's the advice my grandfather gave me. When you know better, you do better. And so if we all do that, I think we'll be in a better place. And, I got a major prayer for the world that, we get to a place that we of understanding with each other. And, as far as in the athletes and entertainers and anybody else in business, seek first to educate yourself. Don't be afraid to ask people for help. Find a great mentor, because there's people like, myself and like Magic Johnson, other people that have had a certain amount of success that want to see young people thrive. Yeah. And so don't be afraid to live your dream. Don't be scared of the negativity that you hear every single day. You get up and be the best person that you can be every single day and trust and love yourself. Because once you do that, the sky's the limit. So, I thank you guys so much for having me on, giving me this platform and opportunity to give whatever knowledge I have, to others, because that's what it's all about. It's about giving back and being the best that you can be every single day, being the best you can be, and not living for somebody else. So that's my 2 cents.
I appreciate it. And every single day, I remember Dr. Benjamin Hooks, famous NAACP leader here in the country and judge and sat on the Federal Trade Commission. He said, every day is a good day. Every day is a good day. If you don't believe it, try missing one. Try missing one.
I love that.
Every day is a good day. Brother Ray, man, thanks a lot for being on Funky Politics. We got to get you back on here sometime soon. Man, shout out to your dad, your mom, man. Tell them, hey, look, we love them. People still love Sugar Ray and Wonder. They still love him. What is all said, that we still love him, man, and we still follow that brother, man, all right?
Yes, sir. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Hey, I'll be right back, y'all, with a few closing thoughts right here on Funky Politics.
Well, it started off on 8th Avenue when I made up the name called the
Funky Politics.
R&R on Sports.
Brother Rashad McCants, welcome to R&R on Sports.
Thanks for having me, brother.
It's R&R on Sports.
KUDZUKIAN.
Hey, y'all, that's how we do it here at KUDZUKIAN, especially we do it that way here on Funky Politics. I got to stress enough, I cannot do this show without bringing on thought leaders from around the world, like a Ray Leonard Jr. and some other folks out there who come and make this thing worth listening to, worth viewing, because one thing about it, it's going to take all of us to do our part to make sure our young people understand through all of this, through the uncertainty of COVID-19, through the systemic racism that they have even experienced and they don't know they experienced it, is that we're going to get better together. We're going to get to the other side very soon, and hopefully real soon, hopefully by November 3rd, y'all, we'll get some of this stuff behind us. But until then, stay positive, stay upbeat. Ray said it better. We're going to be okay. Keep some positivity on your mind and your heart, and we'll be all right. Also, COVID-19 is not going away. Make sure you washing those hands, you're using that social distance piece, and you're wearing your mask out in public. Do that for us, and we'll see you back here again on Funky Politics, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network. I'm out of here.
Funky Politics, recorded at KUDZUKIAN Studios, directed, produced, and distributed by KUDZUKIAN.